Welcome, Aries. This is Regina from Pacific Tarot, getting ready to do a reading for you. This is around the full moon in Pisces, which is occurring on the 27th of August. And it is punctuated by a significant trine between Jupiter and Saturn towards the end of the month, the 31st, literally. So this is a partial lunar eclipse, and we'll get into it as we go through the reading as it's relevant to you. So for you, from the Crystal Spirit Oracle, I've pulled the Aquamarine number 7, which corresponds to the Chariot card in the Tarot, the Major Arcana. And this is about moving with full embodied acknowledgement and acceptance of your personal truth, even when it's uncomfortable. So this is a lot about the clarity you now are seeing and gaining through this acceptance of your truth. This is helping you to not only lighten your mood, to bring clarity to what you're experiencing, but it's also highlighting details of the way that you are an observer of your own present embodiment and experience. And one of the things that may be happening for many of you is there are old patterns, old habits, even things that feel relatively released and in the past that may be blocking new information that you could possibly be gaining. When you situate yourself in your present experience, particularly within your relationships, there may be opportunities for you to notice or remark on new observations, new ways that you're seeing your friends show up, your friends express their needs, or the way in which you are communicating your needs clearly to others. For many of you, being Aries, because you are at a significant period of closure in your life, and this closure is not something that arrives on a date, it's something you've been working at for a while, you are recognizing and projecting, in some cases, your understanding of what others may need as a result of the clarity that you've gained. So this really asks you to recognize not only your needs, but those of others, particularly those of you of relationships that you've been relating to, that you've known for a long time, and that there are real habits and patterns of communicating and connecting that may need to shift. And for the soul's journey, you have self-esteem. I possess gifts of the soul that benefit me and others. And one of the things that's coming through here is this sense of moral integrity that you carry. Much of that moral integrity comes as a result of the healing, personal healing you've done for a while, the work you've done to clean up your act, more or less. Someone called this particular lunation an emotional mop-up, which I thought was an interesting turn of phrase. But yes, they're part of what you are learning to mop up or to cleanse, to purify, or to be more transparent about is this sense of emotional hierarchy you may have experienced as a result of a lot of progress and growth you've made. And there is a tendency as a leader, a natural leader, to project that onto what others need because it's what you've needed, what you've earned. So there's a way in which you are reorienting your sense of compassion towards others, particularly towards others you're very close to, who you're used to reading or supporting in some significant way. In the present, we have the King of Wands. This emphasizes this beautiful self-esteem, this general confidence that you carry, and this leadership This leadership is really the result of a renewed spark, a renewed passion for life, renewed passion for something that is important to you, that is significant to you, in a way that it motivates and inspires others. So this leadership theme is often a theme for you and other fire signs as well, other individuals as well. It has less to do with your sun sign as it does with your larger profile, but it is important that what inspires you can set off or set ablaze a collective energy or activity. And this is something that's familiar to you, and that you're learning to manage this energy, because this is a powerful energy. It's a powerful way that you have often sought to control a collective energy or direct it, but you're reevaluating its purpose not only to others but to you. A way in which you are looking at the possibility of accepting your whole humanity, and that includes your humility, your errors you've made, mistakes you've made, ways in which perhaps you've projected judgments onto others, is a way that is helping you to eliminate that moral superiority, if I may call it that, and really showing you that the purpose of this tremendous progress and deeper connection to your passion is to share that through compassion with others. So it's less about judging and more about being there with others, particularly those others in need. And in the past, the Eight of Cups, it's so interesting because the Nine of Cups flipped out a couple of times when I was shuffling the cards for you, and I thought instantly, gee, that's a card of self-satisfaction in many ways, a way in which you are very proud and gratified at the way that you have learned to follow and pursue a process for yourself of growth. And this growth in the past has helped you to move away from what is familiar, what you're used to in your familial or intimate relationships, to seek a challenge, to move outside of that safety, and frankly, for many of you, a kind of stasis, right? A kind of place where everything just kind of leveled out and became the same. It was safe, but it was the same. You weren't learning, you weren't stretching, and in the past you have forfeited that comfort for seeking something significant to you, something that really is important to who you are and what you want to leave behind, your legacy. And so this is really this place of gaining the strength you need, not just the confidence. The confidence can be a mask, but this is that deeper sense that you have to move on. Staying in the same place is not an option. In order to learn, to expand, moving on, leaving what was safe behind has been part of what has fueled this greater sense of transparency in the moment for you, this clarity that helps you and gives you the fuel to move, to stay out of your comfort, to tease the edge of what is familiar to you in order to move on to something where you're in a position to learn. In the future, the Chariot card, a nice compatibility here between the sevens. The sevens for me are about the assurance that you are on the path for you. You are situated within your personal truth. And I feel for many of you, part of what you're experiencing in this time of boundaries and empathy. So the boundaries are not so much others' boundaries, but the kind of boundaries you're setting around your own need to move forward into new unfamiliar territory, and the empathy that you can muster for those who are needing your presence, your strong presence in the moment, who are not in the same place as you in terms of your fearful, courageous, and pioneering energy, and are grappling with those closures, with those old habits, old routines, old stories that they are struggling to release. And some of it is your impatience with that within yourself, which can be projected onto others as chiding them for doing things that you've learned to release. Is one example of a way that this could be acting out in your current environment. But it's also this way in which you can accept the challenges of loved ones, their needs for comfort, for clarity, for advisement, or guidance that can be about silent counsel, about listening to them as part of accepting who they are and where they're at the same time in a way that doesn't hold you back from pursuing something that you're ready for, closing doors that you've long since moved away from. So this release that you're experiencing is facilitating the closure, yes, but also this critical thinking about a new environment, a new learning landscape for yourself, where you must stay on course with your own goals and focus. If this is resonating for you, Aries, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. I appreciate your presence. Thank you for being here. And I'm going to clarify the Eight of Cups in the past with the Devil card and the Empress, the King of Wands with the Fool, and the Seven of Cups and the Chariot with the Temperance card and the Ten of Cups. Beautiful energy. Wow. So indeed, this is really a challenging time for you in terms of the pressure for growth. And part of what I'm experiencing during this time, and I think is some of what the intensity is about, is the need to understand everything. That can be a weakness, right? That's different from critical thinking. Critical thinking is a useful tool, particularly at this time. But I think the need to understand things, particularly as many of you are making a big shift between an old experience, an old frame of reference, old habits and routines, old relationships, old ways of relating, into something new. And that new thing is really felt in the body and is yet to, for many of you, to externalize it in your environment. So you're hopeful, you feel open to receiving something new that you have yet to identify or see clearly. And that disjuncture, that transition is really relies upon this tremendous openness. This openness is something that feels like a kind of liberation from the past and from an old way of doing things, not just for you, but for your environment, for your social or cultural experience. So this is clear to me that you are releasing the status quo at some very fundamental level. And it feels very much like it has to do with your relationships and your own understanding of your emotional needs. That those could shift or change is something I don't know that we often accept or understand, that this is part of our growth. that this can even happen for us, right? How can you change the way you love or the way you relate to other humanity of other types? But there is a real need for you to walk away from the traditional way of doing things. The Empress shows that you feel fully empowered to do this because you are centering your decision-making more and more in your own power, within your own authority. You're accepting yourself as someone that not only wants to receive love, but wants to create love in the world. And creating love can look like some kind of service you provide, some kind of creative expression. Whatever it is, you are in the position or moving towards a position where you can manage or navigate an organization that serves or that expresses some thought or produces something that is a cultural marker of some sort, a kind of communication to others. And part of being able to do that is not only doing the work, but recognizing and accepting the feedback as a result of that, and integrating that feedback into what then emerges. So this is a very profound shift in your energy, a profound way in which you are moving from perhaps familial markers or context for relationships or productivity into a way that you are defining yourself based on your environment and your needs, those that you are relating to. In the present, the Fool and the Seven of Cups is describing this place of not only fresh openness, almost, and let me know if this is the exact same card you got last week. I'm not sure, but the Fool is really doing a serious rotation for many of us, not surprisingly, with the emphasis on releasing the old, but also this stepping into visibility, which was a lot about the new moon's energy in Leo. Stepping up, being seen, coming out of hiding, articulating your opinions, or recognizing the various options you have to engage in new ways and fresh ways with others. And that can also be in part impacting your idea of leadership as being a kind of openness, modeling behavior that will advance the collective effort. And this is a really new approach because it implies a kind of vulnerability, this open empathy, a way in which you can be porous without knowing the answers, but asking questions that are relevant to you, to what innovation might look like in a future that is still hidden from us in many ways. But there is a sense that you're moving towards greater productivity, greater stability through a new kind of curiosity, a new openness to curiosity that really is about the way we relate to one another, the way we relate to our teammates, our family members, the way we can stay open and yet pursue that which we feel compelled to explore. And in the future, the Chariot card is clarified by the Temperance and the Ten of Cups. I feel like there's almost this kind of nirvana that you are reaching in your ability to work with others collectively. There's a way that you are identifying almost an ideal community or collective effort, a way that you are central in your life, in your own expression, but make way, open up to a multiplicity of opinions and ideas when working with others. Understanding that the healthiest communities are those that are constantly available for changing, shifting, overcoming obstacles through grace. And by grace, I mean this openness to communicate, to share, to not only communicate your needs back to the beginning, but to recognize and understand the needs of others. And there's this balancing that's going on in which you are making yourself more available to and elevating all of your relationships that are significant to you to a similar place. You're not using a separate or different criterion for those meaningful relationships in your life. For example, you would not advise a child or a grandchild the same way you would advise a close friend or a colleague, yet it is the result of this way of elevating all your relationships as your opportunity to display your growth, your humility, ways of humbling yourself before the abundance that you see is available in all of your collaborative undertakings. This is about emotional bounty that you are recognizing even in the things that you would have called mistakes in the past. There's a lot going on here with all of these major arcana cards. You are in a place of profound growth and really closing a lot of doors. And as we are well aware, a door closed is a door open. So I'm going to finish off this reading with a flower oracle, and Bird of Paradise pops up. Self-acceptance. You are so much more. Yeah, I do feel for many of you that the idea of self-acceptance is really the greater challenge, particularly as we may project our sense of insecurity or needs onto the behaviors of friends or loved ones, in which we can objectify those behaviors and appear to be critical of them. And that can be very hurtful, and it denies us the opportunity to really grow and be with our own emotional discomfort, pain in the present moment. So this idea of accepting yourself for who you are and where you are now, which I think is very different from where you have been for most of your life. So thank you for this reading, Aries. Until next time, namaste.